Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into, well, a really moving and I think incredibly insightful story. Our focus is this narrative that, okay, on the surface it seems simple, but it's just packed with lessons about connection, identity, and the power of small things, really.
Yeah. The source we're digging into is a script for a short video. It's called The Color of My Hijab. It's a very personal story, but our mission today is to kind of pull out the practical wisdom from it. Like, what can we all learn?
Exactly, because it's more than just a nice story. It works as this sort of microcosm of human interaction and gives us a fascinating way to look at, understanding differences, sure, but also just how we communicate, how we build empathy day to day. We're looking at not just what happens, but really why it hits home, why it offers these valuable insights into connection. Okay, let's unpack this then. It's only like a 5-minute narrative in the source, but wow, the depth is something else. It starts with Mariam, this young girl. And her choice. The script paints this picture, morning light, she's tying her hijab, picking a pin, smiling in the mirror. And maybe for listeners who aren't familiar, the hijab is a head covering worn by many Muslim women. It's a symbol of modest faith, identity, very visible. Mariam's parent narrates this part, saying, "The day my daughter Mariam chose to wear her hijab to school, her heart felt full like carrying a little sunrise." And the video script highlights these words on screen. Pride, identity, courage. It really lands that feeling of personal significance.
It really does. And what's so striking, I think, is that immediate link she feels between her choice, this visible thing, and those deep feelings. Identity, courage. For her, it's clearly not just cloth. It's this act of saying, this is me, tied to her beliefs, her background. It kind of pushes us to ask, right, how do we actually see and respect those kinds of personal expressions in other people, especially if they're different from our own experiences? It's about seeing the person, the meaning behind the action. Sometimes that means stepping outside our own default view.
That's such a key point, seeing the person, because unfortunately that leads right into the first bump in the road in the story. Mariam gets on the school bus, still feeling that sort of sunrise vibe. The bus is noisy, normal. And then the driver, Miss Collins, she just says, kind of quickly, maybe distracted, "Hey, that thing on your head, let's go." Just, moving things along. But the script says Mariam's face just falls. She walks quietly to her seat. You feel that shift instantly. And the weight of those words really hits home later. Mariam's talking to her parent, saying softly, "She didn't say my name," or "hijab, it hurt." And the parent's observation is so insightful. Not everyone had the right words yet. The sentence landed like a stone. Wow, what an image. A casual comment turning into this heavy, painful thing makes you think, how often do our offhand remarks do that without us realizing?
That's a huge question, isn't it? And it taps right into the power of language, how it validates or invalidates someone's identity. When Miss Collins says that thing on your head, it might not feel big to her, but for Mariam, it erases her choice, her identity, the meaning. It's that subtle thing, de-individualization, reducing a person to an object, a thing. It's othering, basically, turning something deeply personal into just something unnamed, unfamiliar. The hurt comes from not being seen, from having who you are dismissed like that. But the parents thought not everyone had the right words yet. That's crucial. It reframes it, not as malice, maybe just ignorance, lack of awareness. And that opens the door for a different response, which leads right to the parents' advice. Flip it with kindness. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing a proactive way forward, not just reacting, taking charge of the interaction.
Flip it with kindness. I really like that. Simple, but so powerful, because that's what they do. They make this little plan. The source calls it a tiny kindness plan card, and it's actually pretty clever in its simplicity. So step 1, learn and use names. Every morning, Mariam makes a point, this warm, "Good morning, Miss Collins," and keep. And the script puts text on screen. Names are bridges, really highlighting that power of just seeing someone as an individual. Then step 2, gratitude. Every afternoon, consistently, "Thank you for taking care of me." And again, the source gives us this little gem. Small keys open big doors. It's about these consistent, small, positive actions, building instead of backing away.
Well, it's brilliant, psychologically speaking. Using someone's name. It's not just manners. It literally lights up parts of the brain linked to self-identity. It says, I see you, you're recognized. So when Mariam does that, she's actively pushing back against that thing comment. She's rehumanizing the interaction. And the gratitude piece, "Thank you for taking care of me," it's just as potent. It changes the whole vibe. It's not just a transaction anymore, driver-passenger. It becomes relational. It builds this sense of mutual appreciation. These aren't just empty gestures. They're like the fundamental building blocks for connection, for respect. And the source describes it so well, how the bus starts to feel kinder, Smiles appear. It shows how these tiny, intentional, positive moments add up. They can actually change the whole atmosphere little by little.
Yeah, like chipping away at that misunderstanding with drops of kindness. It's fascinating to see it unfold. The script shows this montage, right? A week goes by, Miriam's wearing different colored hijabs, but the greetings, they're the same, consistent, warm. And you see Miss Collins starting to, well, soften. Little smiles back, nods. The ice is definitely thawing. And then comes this really key moment. This is where Miriam takes the lead, gently. After about a week, she asks this bright question. She leans into that little connection they've started building. Miss Collins, what do you think of the color of my hijab today? And Miss Collins tries. You can almost hear her sounding it out carefully. Your hijab, it's a beautiful green. It's small, but feels huge.
It's incredibly insightful, that moment.
Yeah.
Because it's about education, right? But initiated by Mariam and done with such grace. It's an invitation, not a correction. She didn't lecture her. She just opened a door into her world, made it safe to learn. And the source nails it. A new word became a new window. That framing is perfect. Learning the right word is not just vocabulary. It opens up understanding. It personalizes things. It shows respect. We often just expect people to know things, don't we? This shows the power of gentle teaching, and you see the result almost immediately. The next day, Ms. Collins greets her warmly. Good morning, Mariam. Your hijab looks lovely. Boom. Name and the right word. Effortless now. Real engagement. Not that thing. It's your hijab. That's a real shift.
It really is. And that respect, that connection, it starts showing up in actions too, not just words. The story shifts to a rainy morning. Miriam almost slips getting on the bus. Quick moment. Could have been bad. And Mrs. Collins just reacts instantly. Steadies her, says, gotcha. Careful there. Pure instinct. Pure care.
And that incident, it's like proof, isn't it? That the kindness plan wasn't just surface level. It wasn't just about being polite. The source notes, kindness didn't erase what happened. It helped both hearts grow. Which is so true. It shows how building that foundation of respect with those consistent small actions and the gentle teaching, it actually leads to genuine care when it counts. It's moved way beyond just acknowledging each other politely. It's now about active consideration, looking out for each other. They're not just driver and passenger anymore. They're, well, two people with a real connection built on that mutual regard. That's where you start seeing real psychological safety in action.
Which leads us beautifully to the end of this little journey in the story, the culmination. Miriam and her parent are in the kitchen making a little gift. A handwritten card, some kindness cookies, and the message on the card, it's simple, direct, but carries so much weight. Thank you for taking care of me. It's called a hijab. Just that final gentle reminder, reinforcing the lesson but with warmth. So the next morning, Mariam gives Miss Collins the gift. The script says she's shy proud. I love that description. She says, quietly but confidently, for you, Miss Collins, and my hijab is purple today. And Miss Collins' reaction, it's genuinely touched. Thank you, Mariam. Hijab, I'm glad I know the word now. The whole thing just comes full circle. Oh, that exchange is so rich. What strikes me is the willingness on both sides. Still, Mariam keeps gently offering the knowledge, even embedding it in the gift. And Miss Collins receives it so openly, appreciates it. The gift is gratitude, yes, but that explicit naming on the card, spoken by Mariam, that's the real capstone of the gentle teaching. It's offered without any hint of, I told you so, just, here's clarity. And Miss Collins saying, I'm glad I know the word now. That's not just politeness. That signals a real shift. She gets it now. She understands why it matters to Mariam. It's just a beautiful example of how vulnerability, met with openness, can really transform a relationship, build that genuine bridge.
So thinking about the bigger picture, what does this all mean for us listening? Because it's clearly more than just a nice story. It feels like a really practical guide, doesn't it? For how we can handle misunderstandings, maybe build better connections in our own lives, one interaction at a time. It's like a little blueprint for bridging those gaps, whether it's at work or school or just, out in the world. Absolutely. And the source itself sums it up so well at the end, that core wisdom. When someone doesn't know your name, your culture, or your words, teach gently. Use their name. Say thank you. Let kindness lead. And then that final text reinforces it. Kindness teaches. Names connect. Gratitude changes hearts. It's simple, yeah, but profoundly effective because it taps into those basic human needs, right? To be seen, to be acknowledged, to belong. Which really brings up a question for everyone listening, I think.
How can you take these simple, powerful ideas into your day? Is there a moment, maybe today or this week, where a gentle word could open a new window for someone, or where it's just using someone's name really intentionally or saying thank you sincerely could make a difference, could bridge some small gap?
Yeah, exactly. Think about what kind word or gesture you could offer, or maybe what new word you could gently introduce, like Mariam did, to create that little bit of understanding. Because sometimes it really is those quiet, consistent acts of kindness and seeing each other that build the strongest connections. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the truly unexpected power of a purple hijab.